Am I doing any pension talk? What did I say about pension talk, pulverizer? I kind of remember what I said, but I kind of remember saying something long. I might talk about that in a live stream now, but now I forgot what it was. What was it? I can't remember. I'm getting old, pulverizer. Us Zionists are getting old. Good morning, First Sergeant. Be all you can be. We do more before 7 a.m. before most people do all day. Thought it was Andrew Biggs. You thought it was with Andrew Biggs? What the hell are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about, man. You're doing pension talks. I thought you stood in an earlier video. I thought it was with Andrew Biggs. What's up, Chuck B? Pulverizer, what are you talking about? No. Hey, Kevin Hawthorne, good evening. All right, let's take a look at football scores here real quick while people are getting in. Auburn does not look good, but I'm telling you, Auburn is way Bacala, Carl, Que Paso. Let's see here. Hold on. I saw Arkansas lost to Memphis, SEC. Yikes. Temple got a touchdown. So it's 21-14 now. Dude, Temple is getting rolled by Tech. Then the Tech couldn't get the freaking they had 3 and out. So it was Addie Lynn. Addie Lynn, where are you from? I don't know anything about you. What's your deal? Yikes. Oklahoma's losing to Auburn. Auburn did not look good. We saw them play against Ball State. They did not look that good. I'll tell you that right now. Overrated. The whole SEC is overrated. Let's see. So we got you got a kid at Auburn, hell of a game with a boomer sooner. Yeah, whatever. It looks like Auburn's up by 1. Oklahoma's got the ball. Michigan's up by 3 against. All that matters is my team, Iowa, wins. That's all we care about. Iowa Hawkeyes. Yeah, Georgia. How are you only up by 7 against Temple, man? They were freaking killing them. I told you. Temple's going to beat Georgia Tech. You heard it here first. I already told you that. Let's see what else we got going on. Let's see what the final scores here so far. SEC plays powder puff teams all the time. Ooh, Tulsa beat Oklahoma State. Dang. Oh, yeah, I did do that. Let's see here. Arkansas lost to Memphis. The SEC so good. Texas Tech smoked the Utes. Maryland beat Wisconsin, man. What happened to you, Wisconsin? Oh, yeah, Clemson got smoked too. That sucks, dude. You need Clemson there. Anyway, what are you going to do? I'm just looking. Ole Miss beat Tulane and Ohio Bobcats. The best uniforms in all college football, other than the Texas Longhorns, are the Ohio University Bobcats. That's what when I was playing high school, 8th grade football, King Middle School in Maine, it was white helmets, green shirts, and white pants. That's what the Ohio University has. White, green, white. Sharp-looking shirt, man. All right, well, let's see what's happening here. And we'll just take a look what's going on later tonight real quick. South Carolina, Missouri, Georgia State, and Vanderbilt. Love to see Vanderbilt lose that. That'd be kind of funny. Illinois, Indiana, Florida, and Miami. I bet Florida pulls the upset against Miami. You heard it here first. Texas and Sam Houston State. Look, Texas and Sam Houston. Wow. Whoa. Wow. Oh, my goodness. Still can't believe USC and UCLA are in the Big Ten. Freaking evil. Anyway, I don't know what Pulverizer was talking about pension stuff. I don't know. But anyway. All right, so what I want to talk about here is, if you guys got any thoughts or questions or anything. So we destroyed my man Harry Chu in a video I did earlier where Harry Chu was blaming Trump's tariffs, 50% tariffs on the increase in coffee. And the funny thing is the 50% tariffs didn't actually come to fruition until August. So you can't blame the increasing price of coffee on Trump's 50% tariffs when they only been enforced for about a month. All right. Part 2 of that, you got some evildoers down there in Brazil who are doing evil stuff, Bolsonaro, whatever his name is. And at some point, you got to we love Harry, though. Tesla's a great company. Yeah, Harry's all right. But he said to me, don't be so biased in your financial analyst. And I said, wait. Wait, don't say I'm being, I mean, I am absolutely biased 100%, but don't blame something that is not to be blamed because it's simply not true. And this is what people do all the time is guilt by omission, not commission. Trump has a 50% tariffs on Brazilian coffee. Thus, coffee prices are up. Correlation equals causation. Hey, what's up, Don? It's just not true. And the reason we know it's not true is because, as I showed you, I got Bruce Dexter on Facebook. Right on, man. We got, looks like Bruce is the only one on Facebook. But I appreciate it. We got 6 on Twitter, 2 on the Josh Scanlon channel, and 20 here. So not a big crowd so far, but we just got started. We'll see. And anytime you talk foreign policy stuff, trade, no one wants that. They just want the political stuff. And I mean, I get it. It's not, that kind of bores me. Like, oh, can you believe what happened over here? It bores me. And many, many people do that stuff where they talk about current events in terms of the political stuff of the day. Remember a week ago was that stupid Philadelphia Karen lady. Hey, it's Joe Christmas. Is that your real last name, Joe? Anyway, I like the foreign trade stuff. I think it's interesting. And the reason I like it is no one else talks about it. And as such, it's a boring topic for most people. I get it 100%. It's like, who was I? Listen to that guy, Mike Benz, today, talking about how the Obamas and Hillary and all the scumbags were able to put all this anti-free speech there under the idea of critical infrastructure. Mike Benz has talked about that. He says, no one, anytime you say critical infrastructure, 99% of Americans, people's eyes glaze over. They're like, oh, it's boring. Kind of like, foreign policy, free trade and stuff. Oh, boring. But hate to say it, this is why we're in the mess we are in right now. And so what we're going to do is it's a protagonist from a William Faulkner novel called Light in August, brother. All right. Well, that guy sounds gay. All right. Let's just put it that way. Anyone who reads William Faulkner must be light in the loafers, if you know what I'm saying. I don't know anything about William Faulkner, any from Mississippi or something like that. But Light in August. Oh, speaking of which, yeah, I'm lighting the loafers in August. That was the original name of that book, Joe Christmas. Light in the loafers in August. But the publisher says we can't say light in the loafers in Mississippi, where the hell William Faulkner's from. So let's just say light in August. Joe Christmas, come on, man. Come on. What are you doing? Anyway, so I'm going to share with you this right here. It's pretty interesting. Oh, so Harry Chu, which we just beat down. Big Mike used to say they never hit low like the right. Yeah, exactly. Big Mike freaking, dude, she's such it. We'll call her it because we don't know if she's a she, or we certainly don't know if she's a he. We don't know what the hell she is. But it is such a scumbag. Anyway, so what's his name? Mike Benz was saying critical infrastructure is the way that they allow the NSA, the DOJ, all these groups to basically go after tweets and stuff like that, because it's critical infrastructure for election interfering. We can't have election interfering. And I'll never forget, remember, I was considering the username Licking River after the Fancy Pants Kentucky tributary. Well, Licking River is different. You know what I'm saying? Licking River. It's a family show, Joe Christmas. Come on. Licking River. That sounds a little bit more manly, if you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? Licking River. Anyway, so he's saying like this is how they were able to ban people. Remember, that's what. Remember, like 10 years ago, they had the clown, not a clown, like a rodeo guy at Missouri. He had a Obama face, some rodeo like clown in the state of Missouri with Obama face, and they went after him like crazy. He just had an Obama face, like an Obama mask. That was it. He wasn't blackface or anything like that. And they went after that guy. Anyway, my man Jack Spurko from the Survival Podcast on Facebook posts this, TDOA. Those days are over. TDOA. No, TDAO. That's it. TDAO. Those days are over of us on the right saying, and he wouldn't consider himself the right, but I am. That's on the right saying, we don't accuse us of that. We just want to get along. No, I don't want to get along with these people, dude. They want you deed. They want your deed. You see what I'm saying? If they want your deed, we don't get along with people on our deed. You just don't do it. You can pray for them. Absolutely. Pray for your enemies, but you don't get along with them. You say, I'm staying the hell away from you. If I can cancel your ass, I want to cancel your ass. Absolutely, dude. If I can cancel you, I want you canceled because you did something that subjects that you need to be canceled for. And as such, stop playing their stupid games. Saul Alinsky, man, rules of radicals. Stop playing their games. Anyway, so this is my man right here. I'm going to share with you that we're going to talk about his paper. Well, we won't get too long into it. I just find it very interesting. Right here, this is my man right here. University, Why Buy American from right here from Alfred Eckes Jr. from the University of Ohio, by the way. I forgot that he is from the University of Ohio. And this is the paper we're going to talk about here in just a second, but very interesting. So right here, he says, the commitment of the United States to free trade is a relatively recent phenomenon. George Washington not only supported the protection of infant American industries, but set an example of buying American. I use no porter or cheese in my family, but such as is made in America. Interesting. George Washington was not big on free trade. Alexander Hamilton's arguments in favor of a national industrial policy not only inspired early American economic nationalists, but influenced the German-American economic thinker Friedrich List, whose vision of united Germany with a protected market was realized later in the 19th century. Interesting. In the periods before the Civil War, the Democrats tended to favor lower tariffs, and northern manufacturers sought protection from British and European imports. Northern industrial interests prevailed during the Republican dominance of the Civil War to the Great Depression. Massive tariffs. Teddy Roosevelt summed up the prevailing Republican view when he declared, "Thank God I am no free trader. In this country, pernicious indulgence in the doctrine of free trade seems inevitably to produce fatty degeneration of the moral fiber." American workers, let's see, right here. Right here. Republicans accused of exploiting American consumers on behalf of industry claimed that high tariffs protected American workers from low-wage competition. Herbert Hoover, for example, sounded like many of the opponents of NAFTA when he argued that free trade would place our farmers and workers in competition with peasant and sweated labor products. Yep. Let's see here. Anyway, right here. The most controversial section of Opening America's Market by our author here is his revisionist account of Smoot-Hawley. All right, Smoot-Hawley Act, which is often blamed today for causing everything from the Great Depression to World War II. However, the author shows that Smoot-Hawley raised duties on some items and lowered or eliminated them on many others. Except under the Underwood schedules during World War I, no tariff before or after Smoot-Hawley permitted such a large percentage of U.S. imports by value to enter duty-free. Are you hearing that? Smoot-Hawley permitted more stuff to enter the United States duty-free than any other tariff before or after. By careful examination of American diplomatic correspondence, Mr. Eckes destroys the often-repeated myth that Smoot-Hawley provoked a wave of discrimination against American exports. Why have textbook authors, editorial writers, and public officials beat up on the bogey of the Smoot-Hawley for 3 generations? He concludes, committed to this goal of free trade, Wall Street, Washington, corporate America, academia, and the media elite have found it expedient to thrash Smoot-Hawley at every opportunity. Yep, that's exactly right. That's my man right there, Alfred Eckes, something like that. And here he is right here. You got these books. Alfred E. Eckes Jr. from the University of Ohio, I think right here, Ohio University Press right there. Anyway, so you should read him because I haven't read his book yet, but I've read some of his articles. Anyway, so, hold on a second. If George Washington can be against free trade, you and I certainly can. Yeah, I read that too, man. Birth rates for blue areas of 0.9. Bodes well. Yeah, absolutely. The future belongs to those who show up. I was reading this one guy too, the black guy. There's a Hodge twins. Made a good point. He said, because there are some like white guys, white nationalists out there. He goes, look, man, if you're so worried about the white people, dying off, the best way to do this is to have more babies. Why? Just tell whites to have more babies. 100%. I couldn't agree more. It's like, that's absolutely right. The way to increase your own is to have babies. Shocking. You want more white people, more Spanish people, more blah 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 blah. You have more babies. And it's weird. Anyway, I just could not agree more than that, because it's like, oh, we're gonna blame these guys for that, blame these guys for that. It's like, no, you're the ones not having babies. My wife and I are raising 4 children, but we can't afford any more, so we're done expanding the family. Yeah, that's kind of where we were too, man. Of course, my wife had 4 C-sections, so it's the doc said don't have another C-section, could be dangerous for you. Ironically enough, we're just talking about this last night. Come back from dinner, my wife and I. So she had 8 brothers and sisters, one income, and her dad was just a bureaucrat for the FDA. It was FDA, Department of Defense? Excuse me, Department of Defense. A low-level bureaucrat. He took the train to work, whatnot, and nothing fancy. But they raised 9 children on basically one income. And her dad was very. I mean, he could speak Chinese, he could speak Russian, Italian, very well-educated guy, and her mom was too. But it's just kind of funny because my wife never had new clothes for school. Like first day of school, she was always having hand-me-downs. Nothing new, and they couldn't afford it. But yet they had a house. You see what I'm saying? They were able to have food on the table. And now it's like, and with a family of 11, they only had 3 bedrooms, I think 2.5 baths and stuff. So it was a tight quarters, but we made it, because we're talking about like how in the old days, we never went out to eat. No one ever went out. I mean, look, I was poor, she was poor. I don't know, but no one I knew went out to eat on a regular basis. You see what I'm saying? It's very interesting. So now we go out to eat, but we can't afford a house. But back then, no one went out to eat, but we had houses. It's a very interesting dichotomy, because we're talking about that. We're like, back in the old days, you only got new clothes beginning of school. I mean, like in me, we had basically we had school clothes, and you change out of your school clothes to get in your play clothes. That's what you have to used to do. You get home from school and have to change out before you went to play football or something like that. And if you didn't change out and you're in your corduroys, they got grass stained, your mom's gonna be pissed. You know what I'm saying? And that I remember that for me exactly, especially when I got ripped in one time. She was, that's all the pants we got, unless one of your cousins send you hand-me-downs. And once in a while, my cousin Dale in California would send me some hand-me-downs. But other than that, we only got like two new things of clothes every year, just the way it was. And we never went out. Like when you went out to eat back in the old days, it was a big deal, man. I mean, it was a big deal. Going out to eat was a big flipping deal. You see what I'm saying? And we're just talking about that because, we go out to eat not all the time. We don't go out to eat that much. But when we do go out to eat, it's like, man, we go out to eat a hell of a lot more than we used to. You see what I'm saying? When we were kids. And yet my wife's with just one income had one house. No one flew an airplane to travel either. Now Spirit Airlines is World War E at 40,000 feet. And yeah, Carnival was the Carnival Cruise Line. It's just interesting though, because people are like griping, how bad it is now versus how good it was back in the 70s. And I just think people forget how poor people were in the 70s. And another thing, went out to eat every Saturday night. You guys did, Marie? Must be nice. Hey, right on. There's Uncle Big Bad. All right, Uncle Big Bad. You went out to eat every Saturday? Where'd you guys go, Marie? You got brothers and sisters? I don't remember if you ever told me that. You cannot go out to eat with 9 children from a logistical perspective. I mean, unless it's a lunch held at Parish Hall or something like that. Yeah, but I mean, we didn't, but they didn't go out anyway or buy takeout or anything like that. Everything was made at home. But you could go out to eat. I mean, it's going to be a logistical issue for sure. But you got to think that some children are older, other children are younger. So it's not like there's a bunch of, third graders running around. Anyway, point being is like, that was something that never happened. We didn't have any meat growing up either. In my family, we never had meat, hardly ever had hamburgers, never had steak. You see what I'm saying? Nothing like that. And it's just interesting. Now you have to pay for electricity use of central air. I don't get what that. I don't get that. You're saying because before you didn't have central air. I mean, in Maine, we didn't have central air. I'll tell you that right now. We didn't have any central air at all. I know that for a fact. One brother, locally owned Italian or state plate. Well, that's what. Funny you said that, Marie. We were talking about this back in the old days. They didn't have all these chains. You see what I'm saying? Like chains, they're all locally owned places like this. Locally owned pizza shops, locally owned Italian. Yeah, and again, we didn't go out to eat, so I don't really know exactly what we had in Portland, Maine, but they weren't chains. I know that for a fact. The minute they put the malls in, though, we had a fan to share when I was a kid. Yeah, actually, hold on a second. Hey, babe, you didn't have air conditioning growing up, right? You just had like a window unit or something? Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, she only had one window unit in her parents' bedroom. So 11 kids in a probably 2,300 square foot home, three beds, 2.5 baths, or I don't even 2.5 baths, no air conditioning. Yeah, exactly. And she shared a room with two of her sisters. Man, that's what we're talking about. Like until the malls came on, it was all mom and pop shops. And then the malls came on and they ruined downtown and then it made everything change. Do you ever notice that? She and I were just talking about it. It's like, yeah, man, like back in the day, it was just, I mean, she's 4 years younger than me, but the Potomac Mills Mall was a big one in Northern Virginia where she's from, and Maine Mall was a big one in Maine where I'm from. But there's all just mom and pop stuff. Hey, Fast Eddie. Now every town's strip looks the same with national stores. Exactly. We have one big exhaust fan that suck out the hot air by 9 p.m. Yeah, Marie lived in Pennsylvania. My wife's from Virginia. That's the South. No air conditioning. Anyway, I find it, it's easy to be, what's the word, reminiscing and, somewhat romanticized. But, the facts are you could have a house with a bunch of kids and you didn't even know you're poor because everybody else was. In fact, she was talking. I said, "Did you guys feel poor?" She goes, "Well, it's funny because they had a big family, so obviously they did. But her parents were the only ones who had college degrees in her whole town. You know what I'm saying? Most likely, just lower, white, friggin' lower income, white, lower middle class people, and it's just." With local shops, with local communities, high trust, homogenous communities, and we've sacrificed that for chains, for a quick and easy, and it's just not good. And I'm not saying it's all bad. Do not take this wrong. I am very blessed, and we all are blessed. It doesn't matter who you are. We're all blessed. But I'm very happy to be able to eat like what we want when I get all that. I love the convenience of everything, but there is something that's soul crushing when everything's just a chain. And half these chains are probably private equity. Hell, I think it was like 6 companies control the whole freaking universe anymore. It's crazy. Hey, Portland PHS alumni, right on, man. What year did you graduate, Jules? Hey, cool. Right on. Where are you? And tell me more. Where are you living now, Jules? What year did you graduate? I live in Houston, Texas. So downtown shopping at one point, then moved along into the suburbs. Now the inner shopping or abandoned life is in the exurbs. Yeah, and they try to make it back to the downtowns again, and they were very successful at that until they let the St. George Floyd people come along and just make everything insane. You know what I'm saying? Because George Floyd's the St. George Floyd, so he can do no wrong. So we're going to let all the freaking idiots, homeless. It's crazy. So now they're going to run everybody back up the suburbs. But it's just something to be said about mom and pop shops, local shops, not the most efficient, I grant you, certainly not the most profitable. But that's your local community, owned by your local community, in the local communities, the local banks. And it's the chains. Yeah, it might be more efficient, might be more convenient, but they're not owned locally. Like just going back, I was debating these people on Facebook about Modelo. Isn't it weird how Modelo is just now the biggest freaking beer in the United States? And my argument is because of all the freaking Latins that we've allowed in here. The guy's like, "Oh, you think it's about politics?" I mean, yeah. In fact, if you look at the 2016 annual report from the CEO of Modelo, which is part of InBev, by the way, Anheuser-Busch InBev, multinational corporation, he says that exact thing. I was on a 5-year plan, so it was 91. So I graduated in high school in 88. I didn't graduate from Portland High School, but I went to Portland High School in my first semester as a freshman. So I graduated, so it was 87, 88, 86, 87, 85, 86, 84, 85. So the first semester of 1984, I was a freshman at Portland High School. And I wrestled too. I wasn't that good, but I wrestled. And I played football too, as a matter of fact. And I wasn't that good, but I played. So if you graduated in 91 on a 5-year plan, you were probably 2 years behind me. What middle school? I went to King. Did you go? I went to Cathedral, and then for 6th and 7th grade, then I went to King for 8th grade. What middle school did you go to, Jules? And are you still in Maine? Yeah, it's just private equity taking over. Jersey Mike's. See, yeah, you went to King too. No way. Hey, right on, man. Hey, cool. 99-pound weight class. I think I was 132, if memory serves. And as a freshman, I think I was 105 as a freshman. And then when I was in a junior and a senior, I think I was 132 to 142 or something like that. Moved an hour away to Maples, Florida. Maine. Yeah, I heard Maine. I heard Portland's just falling apart because of libs. Friggin' libs, dude. Yeah, just ruin it. Like when I was growing up, probably same time. Jules a couple of years younger than me, but when we were growing up, Portland, Maine was a pit, dude. Pit. You know what I'm saying? And it's just a pit. And the reason for that is because again, they put that mall up there in South Portland. It's unrecognizable, yeah. And that mall took away all the local stores, and they all went bankrupt, and they all went to the main mall. Filene's, and we used to have, my mom worked at a company called Porches, which wasn't able to keep up. And so it's all got replaced. And it's just sucks, dude. When you're a freaking multinational corporation and you own everything, you have no soul. I'm crushing out here, Minnesota. Glad that Finney's doing better. Yeah, he's doing better. Isn't that right, puppy? Still not quite sure, but he seems to be doing better. But seems like a little bit on the sad today. Maybe because his sisters are in town. Maddie's back from San Diego and Chloe's back from University of Georgia. They went to some big festival in Atlanta today. Hey, you worked at Porches too on Congress Street, right on. My mom did too, way before your time. She was there in the 70s. Maine imported a bunch of foreigners. Yep, a bunch of Somalis from Lewiston, live in Lewiston right now. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's freaking sickening. It's sickening. You see all these Facebook posts. Guys still follow me. I was going to go up there next week, but after Finney, I said I want to make sure Finney's okay because I like going to Freiburg Fair. Freiburg Fair, I like to go to. It's one of my favorite places in the world. Freiburg Fair, Maine in the fall. There's nothing better than Maine in the fall. And I'm reading all these things that like there's all these businesses are being boarded up in downtown Portland, Maine, and they're going to start fining the landlords. And I said, you're going to raise the minimum wage. You're not going to police up the scumbags. And then you're going to fine the landlords for not having a business operating. I said, could socialists be any stupider? Yep. It looks like a third world country in some areas. Well, it is a third world country. Every time there's a shooting in Lewiston, I always type in there, let me guess. Yeah, Maine just freaking idiotic. And no one asked for that. It's the whole thing with America. No one asked for this, dude. No one asked for Modelo to be our number one beer. Well, it's because all the Spanish speakers. No other way around that. Obviously, Bud Light sucked because they're stupid idiocy, but no one voted for any of this crap. No one asked for it. And it's a good segue into our article here. And the funny thing is, while Maine might seem blue, like, because there's some hardcore liberals, dude, Maine is like West Virginia. You get off about 5 miles inland, you're like West Virginia, man. It's like Alabama, Maine is. I'm telling you right now. They're Yankees, don't get me wrong. But Maine, I've never been to Maine. I'd love to try sometime. Drive all the way up to Rooster County. Yeah, 100%. Just make sure you I don't even know if they got cell phone coverage up there. By the way, if you like Maine, I don't know, Jules, is Jules a chick? But this guy who writes, I love this guy's writing because I love stuff from, authors about Maine. And one of my favorite writers right now is my man here. What the hell is this guy's name? Jerry Boyle, Gerry Boyle, Jerry Boyle. Big fan, the Jack McMorrow series, and I just love this guy. So anyway, very interesting. He writes basically most of his books are set in Maine. Is fantastic. But anyway, so I was going to go up to Freiburg Fair, then I was going to go to Portland just to see how bad it was, and then when Knucklehead right here got sick, as I canceled my flights and all that stuff, I'm going to stay here, hang out with him. But Freiburg Fair, one of my best places on the world. Hershey Park, Pennsylvania, my other best place, and Cocoa Beach, Florida, my 3 best places. Yeah, besides Fairfield, at 100%, a lot of New England is like that, dude. Now, a lot of them still vote Democrat. I get it because it's kind of like believe it or not, a lot of the whites down here were still voting Democrat because they could not vote Republican. Going from the South, it was like they knew what the freaking Reconstruction did to them, to their families. They knew what they did. How evil Reconstruction was to poor whites. They knew that by the Republicans and the Yankees and the carpetbaggers. They just could not do it. It took a long time to get them to finally turn. Now they've turned and they'll never go back to Democrats. But that's the issue with a lot of the whites up in New England. Hey, you're being replaced because you don't have enough kids because you're just not. And they're replacing you with third world people. But B, they just can't imagine voting for Republicans anymore just because they're union heavy. You see what I'm saying? And they're so heavy on the unions, and I get it, 100%, man, I get it. But the friggin' Democrats aren't pro-union, that's for damn sure. And they're pro-government union, but not pro-blue collar union. But you get 5 miles inland of Maine, dude, you'll never know. It's like South Jersey. They call South Jersey Alabama as well. You never know this different, man. You'll never notice. It's crazy. They talk differently. Again, they have a little bit different in terms of they're not. They probably don't tailgate for football games like they do down here, but it's like all the same. Dude. It's crazy. That's what just so infuriates me when you just. It's so frustrating to me when you read the Pine Barrens, Cape May. Yeah, I'm actually like down to Mickleton, even further south than that. There's a place I had a guy who was a client of mine. I can't remember the name of the town, but it's like they had a nuclear plant down there or something like that. I forgot. Never been. Oh, dude, Hershey Park, Bruce, is freaking awesome. Yeah, dude, I love Hershey. But I mean, it might not be the same if you don't got kids. If you got kids, I loved it. Hershey is fantastic. So even when my kids are out, I got 1 year left of my last. Charlotte and I were just talking about that. Next year we'll go to Hershey Park for Valentine's. Go on the Chocolate World rides, and it's. I love it, man. I love it. It reminds me of when we had all of our kids were little. We'd go up there, we went to see a Hershey Bears game and stuff. It's just fantastic. Freiburg Fair in Maine just reminds me of when I was a little kid. We've only went there twice because it was far. We didn't have a car, so we'd have to hitch a ride with somebody. But get the Freiburg Fair, they had rides and stuff and fried dough. And for a poor kid from Portland, I lived on Peaks Island. All that stuff was just like, whoa, blew your mind. And so it's just the smell of the horses, the manure. It's fantastic. Anyway, so it just brings back sentimental value for sure. Anyway, so let's. I was getting ready to say something on. I took my family to Disneyland in June. It's very nice. Hershey's probably cleaner. And the street lights are in the shape of a Hershey kiss. Yeah, and they got the smell of chocolate. It's fantastic, dude. Anyway, so my man here, Alfred Eckes. Let's see if I can't find this. I think I can. Yeah, right here, because this is on Hillsdale. Yeah, right here, man. This was on Hillsdale. I'll open link, save link as. Oops, hold on a second. Okay, copy link address right here. So if any of you guys are interested in this white paper my man did, very interesting. This is from Hillsdale College, by the way. And we're going to go over here and I'm going to share it with you because it's very interesting. Anyway, the point being is a lot of those white Mainers, they can't see themselves voting Democrats because a lot of them are so attached to the union. Jeremy, K1 fiance visa petition got approved last week. Right on. All right. Well, congratulations, Jeremy. So when are you getting married? When are you getting married? And what's the dude's name? What's the dude's name? Yeah, I got you, Jeremy. I got you. All right. All right. So I'm going to show you right here. So this is from 2016. This guy had written this. Very interesting. Right here. Many voters seem to believe right here that their political leaders betrayed American interests by negotiating flawed trade deals. This enabled transnational corporations to move jobs to China. The resulting job losses led to wage stagnation for American workers, especially those without college diplomas. In election year 2016, populist-style politicians pounded an anti-free trade message. The establishment seems to be running scared. Yep, 100%. According to many polls, many voters in the primaries were strongly motivated to vote against candidates who backed traditional trade agreements. Yep. Let's see. The strongest opposition to free trade occurred among white males, the Republican base, the white males. The strongest opposition to free trade is white males, particularly older and less well-educated one. Most of these people experienced trade-related job losses or knew others who did. That's the Republican base now. So when your base says, please do this, you don't abandon them for freaking idiocy because then you're going to lose your base, you freaking idiots. Not you guys, of course. But the idiots that run the Republican Party, they Karl Rove of the world. but we're going to expand our base by appealing to people who hate us. Yeah, right here, man. Chocolate World. Love getting the, this is my man Paul. Look at Paul. Love getting the candy thrown at you by Hershey characters. Yeah, dude, it's awesome. I loved it, man. I loved it. Anyway, so Paul is very liberal, by the way. Paul supported Obama. Paul liked Big Mike. Paul's like, he really got mad at me when I called Michelle Obama Mike. He's like, how dare you, Scanlon? That's a proud black woman. How dare you call Michelle Obama Big Mike? I was like, okay, sorry, Paul. He's like, I'm talking to FCC or a federal whatever it is. I'm going to call the freaking ADL on you, Scanlon, the NAACP, and Al Sharpton. Nor was grassroots opposition trade agreements and globalization confined to the U.S. There was intense opposition to current trade negotiations in Japan, Malaysia, Korea, France, and many other countries. In France and Germany, significant opposition emerged to the proposed transatlantic, the transatlantic trade investment partnership. Trade officials in the U.S. and many other countries have expressed surprise at the intensity of grassroots opposition and indicated their determination to do a better job of selling the agreements to their constituents. And we never voted on any of this. It's debatable whether the problem is merely one of salesmanship or of repairing flawed products. Agreements that apparently deliver benefits to the rich and powerful, but few rewards to poor and low-skilled workers in high-income countries. That's the issue. Few rewards to the poor and low-skilled workers in high-income countries. So it might be great to the economists at frickin' Yale, but it's not so great to the guy who's digging ditches. Among workers, worry about job security seems to have resonated more than the prospect of obtaining cheaper socks, underwear, and electronics at the discount store. You think? This is 2016. Let me say that I'm not surprised that American trade policy became a hot button issue in 2016. When I served the government in the 1980s, I backed free trade agreements with Israel and Canada. But I had concern about the NAFTA with Mexico. In my book, published in 1995, I concluded by noting the possibility that free trade among nations at vastly different income levels would exacerbate internal economic and political tensions and thus jeopardize future world peace and stability. So we're going to have free trade with poor countries. We're going to lose our manufacturing base, and we're going to sacrifice our lower skilled, lower income employees. All for what? And this is what my man gets into. The U.S. continues to buy more merchandise from the rest of the world than we sell, and we have since the 1970s. The overall U.S. deficit in goods rose from $111 billion in 1990 to $763 billion in 2015. 25 years ago, this is written in 2016, our deficit largely a petroleum deficit and a manufacturing deficit with Japan. Today, petroleum is only about 10% of the deficit. 3/4 of the deficit was with countries along the Pacific Rim or South Asia. Last year, our deficit with China was $367 billion, or 48% of our total deficit. Crazy. Let's keep going. I already highlighted some of this. So, of course, the trade deficit in goods is an incomplete measure of the country's trade relationship with the world. There's an end to this that's going to crush you. I'm telling you, you're going to be like, it makes sense. So hang in there. If you already jumped off board, a couple people already jumped off board. How dare you talk about my Marxist comrade? My report to the FCC will be forwarded Monday morning. Tell her I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'll tell them my neighbors. I'm telling you guys, like, why is Josh talking about this? Trust me, my man Harold Ickes, whatever his name is going to deliver a crushing blow that you've never even thought about. Trust me. And I used to be the biggest free trader there is, and I'm not anymore. Anyway, of course, the trade deficits in goods is an incomplete measure of the country's trade relationship with the world. A better measure is a current account, which considers trade in goods and services as well as earnings on direct and portfolio investments. In 2015, for the 35th consecutive year, our current account displayed a deficit. It reached $463 billion in 2015. Meanwhile, several leading trading partners generate persistent, huge current account surpluses: China, Germany, and Japan. What has caused the persistent asymmetric current account imbalances? Obviously, a number of factors. They include a strong dollar, interest rate, currency manipulations by central banks, globalization, labor cost arbitrage, investment and savings rate, different rate of growth, mercantile strategies, and flawed trade agreements. In this presentation, I want to focus on the last factor because many pundits overlook it. Yep. In my view, our trade agreements are flawed not because our negotiators are stupid or second-rate hacks. They are flawed because our negotiating priorities for 80 years have included non-commercial objectives. Senator Russell Long, remember Huey Long? That's the son, if memory serves, or grandson, chairman of the Senate Finance Committee in the 1970s, was one of the first to grasp the problem. He complained that the U.S. was granting trade concessions to achieve political objectives. He said, throughout most of our post-war era, U.S. trade policy has been the orphan of U.S. foreign policy. Foreign policy is dictating trade policy. And my man here says, in my own research, I found confirmation that U.S. negotiators have on many occasions accepted less than optimal commercial outcomes in order to achieve foreign policy priorities. Given our country's role in world affairs, it's perhaps inevitable that our trade diplomats should wear foreign policy glasses when negotiating trade issues. And little has changed today. Alan Kruger, Obama's former top economic advisor, said trade agreements are primarily about foreign relations. Yep. There are numerous examples of this in history. One key negotiation was during the Eisenhower administration. The State Department sought to integrate Japan into the world trading community and rehabilitate it as a Cold War partner. The one-sided agreement with Japan in 1955 gave Japanese industry full access to the United States and European markets, but it left Japanese home market and agriculture protected from U.S. and European competition. Japan insisted on protecting its infant auto, electronics, steel, and other industries from foreign competition, and we allowed it because we wanted them as a world trading partner. By the 1970s and 80s, Japan's national champions had become world-class champions in the American market, while Japan still restricted foreign access to its home market. Another significant example is during Clinton's administration when the U.S. granted China its lowest tariff rates under permanent normal trade relations. This was done to integrate China into the global trading regime, the World Trade Organization. At that time, China made a promise of enhanced access to the Chinese market. American-based multinational corporations lobbied enthusiastically for congressional approval and spoke of the many export jobs that China with the WTO would create. One business advocate even told Congress that admitting China to the WTO was the economic equivalent of tearing down the Berlin Wall. Clinton acknowledged that moral national security arguments for the WTO addition of China were more important than the economic ones. He said, China will agree to play by the same trading rules we do. Of course, as often happens, the promised gains did not materialize. The U.S. factory workers saw manufacturing move to China to take advantage of low labor costs, and a flood of Chinese imports soon produced spiraling trade deficits. The bilateral deficit in goods quadrupled from 2000 to 2015. Dude, that's just pure evil. In its 2015 annual report, the U.S.-China Security Review Commission, set to monitor China's compliance with trade agreements, continued to report substantial violations of China's commitments to the World Trade Organization, including the use of export subsidies, failure to join the government procurement code, and currency manipulation. The commission said that China's adherence to the World Trade Organization principles and its protocol of accession remains spotty. A similar report from the U.S. Trade Representative offered a detailed inventory of compliance problems and underscored the difficulties of integrating it into the World Trade Organization. All right. One result is that the U.S. had to file 18 costly and time-consuming cases against China at the World Trade Organization to achieve for American firms the right that the agreement promised. So China is reneging on their agreement with us. Another controversial agreement involved the bilateral trade agreement with Korea, which took place in March of 2012. Negotiated after the attack on the World Trade Center by Bush, it was a part of an effort to solidify the American strategic presence in Asia and to counterbalance China's rising power. At the time, the U.S. Trade Representative said it meant countless new opportunities for U.S. exporters to sell more made-in-American goods, services, agricultural products to Korean customers, and to support more good jobs here at home. But implementation problems dispelled the rosy forecast. The U.S. trade good deficit rose nearly double in the first 4 years of the Korean Free Trade Agreement. Part of the explanation lies in Korean exchange rate intervention to prevent the won from appreciating, as well as other predictable compliance issues involving automotive and agricultural products. And here in Georgia, we just allowed all these illegal immigrants to freaking get jobs here in Hyundai dealership down in Savannah. Crazy. Like the Bush admin, the Obama admin sought to develop a Pacific strategy that would serve as a counterweight to China and strengthen the economies of smaller countries in Southeast Asia. We're trying to strengthen the other countries at our own demise. To achieve that goal, U.S. negotiators pushed the TPP, which is an ambitious initiative to cover some 40% of the global economy. It would include not only existing free trade partners in Australia, all these other countries, but also engage Japan and Vietnam. Crazy. The Secretary of State, Hillary Clinton, praised the act, says the TPP sets the gold standards in trade agreements to open, free, transparent, fair trade, the kind of environment that is the rule of law on a level playing field. Okay, did it there, Hillary, you freaking scumbag. Why aren't you in jail? Because of the complex topics included, the U.S. International Trade Commission found it difficult to assess the agreement and its likely impact on the U.S. economy. But the U.S. Trade Commission study suggested only minimal American gains from tariff reductions in the TPP because they were going to try to reduce tariffs. And they said we're only getting minimal gains. Unofficial assessments of the TPP vary widely. The Chamber of Commerce of the U.S., scumbags, is an enthusiastic booster, of course. It has stated that the TPP offer the best opportunity to level the playing field for American workers. The Chamber applauded a study by the Peterson Institute, those freaking scumbags, that estimates the benefits of the TPP are more than 100 times the cost, and are shared widely. Dude, I hate these people. I'm not going to lie to you. Let's see. Senator Jeff Sessions of Alabama has argued that in approving the pact, Congress would be delegating authority to an international commission. Disguised as a simple trade agreement, this 5,554-page accord commits the American people to an international commission with the power to act around Congress. On the commission, the U.S. would have an equal vote with 11 other nations, some with less than 1% of our country's GDP. Why the hell would we even approve this? Senator Sessions concludes that actions by this commission separate the American people from policy decisions that affect their lives. The TPP commission is a direct threat to representative democracy and accountability. The real victor from the TPP was going to be Vietnam. It will gain unobstructed access to the U.S. markets for its low-cost apparel and footwear. Strengthening Vietnam as a counterweight to China is President Obama's objective. We're supporting the Trans-Pacific Partnership not only to support trade, but to draw our nations closer and to reinforce regional cooperation. Since the economic argument for TPP seems questionable, the Obama administration is stressing the national security argument. Scumbag John Kasich, supporter of the agreement, said in a recent Washington Post article that expanding trade is about more than growing our economy. It's about ensuring our national security. Data published by the World Bank apparently show that we live in a free trade world today. The average tariff on all imports on OECD countries that account for over 60% of world imports, is only 1.7. The U.S. International Trade Commission reports that the average duty collected on all U.S. imports is 1.5%. A duty of less than 5% is much like a state sales tax. It has relatively little impact on trade flows. Other factors such as currency rates and transportation costs are more important. At the present time, 70% of U.S. imports enter duty-free. Having succeeded in largely creating a free trade world for goods, the trade negotiating elite has turned its attention of removing and harmonizing international barriers to trade and investments. Responding to desires of transnational businesses, the negotiators are writing rules for conducting global business in the 21st century. Recent agreements that attempt to deal with a variety of 21st century regulatory topics that Adam Smith never contemplated. Many of these defy existing economic models either because data is not available or the models are deficient. As a result, economists have difficulty evaluating rules pertaining to trade and services, intellectual property, investments, competition, blah, 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 blah. Perhaps that is one reason that lawyers and experienced diplomats, not economists, seems to dominate the fair trade negotiating process. Thus, it is at least arguable that we presently live in a world of free trade and relatively fair trade if fairness can be defined by presence of rules, regulations, and impartial dispute panels. But if fairness means balanced outcomes, then obviously the flaws in our negotiated agreements merit closer attention. The present system has no automatic checks and balances against countries with perpetual surpluses or countries with persistent debts. And we're almost done here. The last page. I remain doubtful, based on past history, that the approval of the TPP will bring much benefit to middle and working class Americans who have experienced job losses and stagnant incomes as a result of prior negotiations, even though we're told they're going to be great for us, and those who may encounter job dislocations as the new agreements are implemented. In a presidential election year, 2016, many angry citizens seem more interested in stabilizing their own economic circumstances than in pursuing the cheaper prices that may accompany greater efficiency and interdependence on a global economy. Some years in the future, observers may look back to the turbulent year of the turning point when grassroots democracy and resurgent nationalism in the United States and Western Europe succeeded in derailing the globalization process that elites have declared inevitable and irreversible. Hear, hear, my friends. Hear, hear. Dude, this is a freaking clown show. Yeah, I already put the link in there, Jeremy. I already put the link, but I'll do it again. This is clown show right there. It's almost like the idiot, the Neil Ferguson from the Imperial College of London saying, my assessment of the COVID is going to kill 1,000 billion people. And then you're like, what's your record there, freaking Neil Ferguson, you scumbag? I'm 0-16. So you haven't ever won a game, but you're saying you know how to win a Super Bowl. Yes, that's what I'm saying. And we're all supposed to bend over backwards and do what you say, even though you've gone 0-16, but you tell us this year you're going to win the Super Bowl. Yes. And of course, all those people listen to this guy. Same thing here. They've been arguing in favor of free trade for years and the wages have stagnated. That's just a fact. Yes, we have more food available. I grant, I'm not going to deny that 100%. We do have more food available. We are not making the same kind of progress that needs to be made for a more, and I don't want to say equal society. I don't mean like that. But we're taking care of our middle and lower class people. There is a select group of people, and I'm one of them. I've made freaking bank these last 5 years. Bank. I'm not sure it's going to stay for the rest of my life, but many people are falling behind. And this is, as a Republican, these are our base voters. Free trade hasn't done crap. I mean, a couple things, sure. And again, I would not put tariffs on coffee. If we can't make it, we shouldn't put tariffs on. I got no qualm with that. I challenge whether or not America can actually make coffee. I don't know. I mean, I just don't know. I mean, they make coffee in Hawaii or grow coffee beans. I grant you. At the end of the day, I know they don't grow them in Georgia. I don't know that for sure. I presume they don't grow them in Georgia. But I challenge the idea that we can't make our own semiconductors. We can't do our own steel. We can't make our own shipyards. We can't make our own freaking large power transformers. We can't do this. We can't do that. We can't do this. We can't do that. I challenge that. Now, if you want to argue, well, Trump put a 50% tariff on coffee, which he only did in August, by the way, and the whole world price of coffee has shot up. Actually, the price of coffee in Canada has gone up more than our price. Well, I don't understand this infatuation with free trade, which I used to have, when the numbers speak against it. Now, I follow humanprogress.org, and I wrote about it in my book here quite a bit, how much better off in some regards we're living. But not when it comes to the necessities, a house. We're just not living better off, man. If people can't afford a house, they can't afford the equity that comes with the house. That gives them a significant opportunity for retirement. The equity these people build The vast majority of wealth for middle Americans isn't their stock portfolios, the equity in their home. Coffee is $18.99 a can down at my corner grocer. Was that a size 10 can? Is that what's called? Yeah, so it's more expensive, but it's more expensive globally, not just in the United States. And that's what fools will neglect to understand. They'll say, coffee's more expensive in the United States, thus Trump's tariffs are causing that increase. And I say, well, Canada is actually even more expensive than us. How do you explain that? Well, Trump, we're going orange man. Like, okay. Tariffs are bad, don't you know? Bye, Smoot Hawley. It's like a circular thing with these people. The problem is the problem with these people, the circular logic, is that many of them are doing the bidding of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. And going back to what we talked about at the very beginning of this live stream, is these freaking corporations, multinational corporations, these chains, they don't give two craps about America. They don't care. However they can make the most profits. Yeah, that's what we talked about in the video earlier today. China pulverizer. China's consumption is I think what I was doing, I was saying it's like up 150% or something like that in 6 years. So you have China consuming more, production in Indonesia, Vietnam way down, production expectations in Brazil is way down, and China, the second largest country in the world, the consumption. I mean, this is a basic supply demand thing. And that's why it's increasing all over the world. But you use your VA loan, Jeremy. Use your VA loan. Your VA loan, you don't have to put that much down. Anyway, it's just very frustrating to me how many people don't see, hey, multinational corporations are taking over. We had many mom and pop jobs go kaput because of multinational corporations don't give two craps about the United States person. They just don't. They just care about the bottom line. And somehow, because we get cheap socks and underwear, yeah, no one does, Don. That's the issue. Right on, Don. No one does. Oh, man. I think Florida's going to beat him, Fern. Look, my man today said, Josh, because Iowa's my new favorite team. You know what I'm saying? He goes, how can you like Iowa, Georgia Tech, Auburn, and Maine? I don't really follow Maine, but I'm from Maine, so I'll go for Maine. I got my Maine shirt on. But I'll go for Georgia if they're playing anybody in the SEC. I'll go for Auburn if they're playing anybody in the SEC. I'll go for Georgia Tech against anybody, unless they're playing Iowa. It's my new favorite team. But if Georgia's playing anyone in the ACC, I'm going for the ACC. If Georgia's playing anyone from the Big Ten, I'm going for the Big Ten. All right. So if it's SEC versus any other conference, I'm going for the other conference every single time. Unless there's an extenuating factor, which won't be discussed here. Iowa class act, exactly. Unless they got a QB who looks like me. I can't be a cornerback unless there's a cornerback who looks like me. Unless they have a QB or a tailback. They don't really call them tailbacks anymore. Unless they got a running back who looks like me. Georgia Tech. Yeah, what I'm saying. So I'll go for a Tech. And I'll go for Georgia when they're playing anyone else in the SEC. But anyway, I'm considering Apostle State to move to. It's getting more and more expensive, Jeremy. Dude, Tennessee's awesome. I love it. It's getting more and more expensive. Why don't you look at Virginia, dude? I'm telling you, there's so many freaking wonderful parts of Virginia. I hate to say I'm going to go for the Canes. They got Carson Beck from Georgia. They actually got one of the backups there, Fern Finns. I think we talked about this last week. Is from one of the schools in my town, as a matter of fact. Can't remember the kid's name, but that my kids went to elementary school with. Luke the Puke. I can't remember his name. But anyway, he's like the backup guy, the freshman down there. What hours they got paid? Anyway, so Iowa's my new team. But I go for the I'm traveling down I-85, have to pee. I'm stopping at Buc-ee's in Auburn for a pee. Yeah, 100%, man. Yeah, that place is fantastic. It's okay to say I take a leak or piss or something like that. We're, basically it's just a locker room with dudes. I think Maria's on here. She's probably gone. Weather is rough in Virginia. What are you talking about? It's 4 seasons, man. Get the hell out of here, Fern Finns. You suck. I'm sick of that guy. Weather is rough in Virginia. I guess Fern Finns lives in Miami. That's the thing, dude. When you live in these, in the sunshine states, you get soft, dude. Personal property tax on vehicle I own outright in Virginia. Yeah, they're snow in the winter. I'm used to, yeah. I'm used to South Florida. Of course you are. Of course you are. Let me guess. You're used to South Florida in many ways, if you know what I'm saying. South Florida, I'm used to it in many ways. Yeah, well, they get you coming and going, but the sales tax, the property tax isn't that. I mean, when I'm saying your homeowner's property tax isn't that high. It's just not. The income tax, the moderate taxes in Virginia, overall scheme of things for sure. Yeah, Iowa's cheaper. What I'm saying. Yeah, I like Iowa, dude. I'm a big fan of Iowa. Yeah, get ready for 6 months of winter in Michigan and the freaking clouds. That's the thing, man. I can handle 6 months of cold, but it's that freaking. That's why I wanted to live in like South Dakota, like Rapid City, or someplace in Colorado where you get the winter, but then it's still sunny all the time. You know what I'm saying? It's like, man, because the clouds. When I went to Michigan, Grand Rapids, when I went to Western Michigan, I zoned out when you were talking about football. You like Penn State, the Steelers. But anyway, now I forgot what I was talking about. Oh, the cloud. We have some lady on the airport saying we call the gray cloud of death that we have in the western state of part of Michigan because it stays like for 6 months. Northwest Arkansas is where it's at, except for our football team. Yeah, you guys lost to Memphis State. SEC, so good. I've heard Northwest Arkansas is fantastic. I hear it's crazy expensive now too, though. I laugh at all those houses with solar panels. Yeah, 100% in Michigan. It's like in Maine, they're putting all these solar farms in Maine. And I know a guy that works on a great guy, and I don't blame him. He's just doing his job. But 100%. The people are not having kids because it's so cost expensive to freaking. Actually, I don't know if you can say that because it was prohibitive. More people were having babies in the turn of the last century, and very few own homes. So I don't know if you can say not having a house is one of the reasons we're not having kids. When you just look at the last century, the turn of the 20th century, there are tons of kids in apartments. Only like a third of the people actually own houses back then. They were still popping them out. Anyway, so that's my story about the whole thing about my reminiscing about mom and pop shops, how multinational corporations took it over. They destroyed downtowns. They try to refix, but the malls, they're able to, basically hammer mom and pop shops with their efficiency, with their trade, with their low cost labor. Then they imported immigrants, Then they imported all kinds of stuff so we couldn't compete 100%. So lower middle class people got set packing. So they had to go work for these big corporations, and the big corporations are soulless. A lot of them aren't even run by Americans anymore. And as such, we're just now the downtowns are going back the way it was in the 70s because the freaking liberal governor mayors are allowing homeless people drugs, insane amount of crime. They don't want to talk real Black Lives Matter. They don't want to talk about this at all because they're all afraid. If you're white, you're afraid of being called racist. And if you're Black, you're looking for reparations. And I'm talking to government officials. They're like, oh, man, we need more reparations to fix the crime. And white's like, no, I don't want to be called racist. So unless there's a white perp, I'm not even going to pretend a Black guy got killed by another Black guy. I'm like, well, how would a Black child? Was it a white perp? No. Okay, then I'm not worried about it. What about Black Lives Matter? Was it a white perp? No, I'm not going to worry about it. It's freaking scumbags, dude. And so what it's not going to do, of course, is moving all back to the suburbs. Multinational corporations will open up. They're going to build more and more out in the outer suburbs and get growth out there like what's happening in Georgia because no one wants to live in Atlanta anymore. And it's just it's evil. It's evil. I hate it. I hate them. I hate it. It's just it's crazy. The old days of going out to eat was an event. Going to a baseball game was an event, you know what I'm saying? And now, just never mind going on an airplane. And there's something to be said about that, and now it's like and look, I'm happy. I'm not trying to say it's so bad, but I'm just trying to say we sold our souls for rock and roll for these multinational corporations under the fallacy of free trade. Without question, they've been promising all the benefits of free trade. It just hasn't matured. It hasn't come to being like they said it was. There's some benefits. I mean, this computer I got right here, I think $700, you know what I'm saying? And I could have, 15 years ago, it would have been a hell of a lot more than that. I get you. There are some benefits, but there's been a lot of negativities too. It's just sad. And then seeing all Republican leaning people, conservatives, speak on the free trade as if it's this freaking proven, settled scientific fact. I'm just sitting there thinking, you sound so like Neil Ferguson about the vaccine for COVID. It's crazy to me. My love for Iowa, low key, not to be called a certain type of. Be careful, Josh. I keep my love for Iowa low key to not be called a certain type of person. 100%. Yeah, no, I got you. That's why I love Iowa, man. Dude, I saw their defense. I think they were stacked with tighty whiteys. Like I think my brother texted me, goes, I think Iowa's got 11 guys on their defense or something. I can't remember what it was. I said, holy crap, that's my team. The Patriots, man, about 10 years ago, at one point, they had 11 white guys on the freaking offensive side. 11 guys. You know, Danny Woodhead, maybe it was more than 10 years ago now. The receivers, all the offensive linemen, all the tight ends, 11 guys on the Patriots offensive side, and they won the Super Bowl. And I don't know if they won the Super Bowl that year, but I was like, damn. I was like, holy crap, dude. That, talk about insane. You know what I'm saying? Sounds like you're Anki Nice. And Kenny Nice. I don't know what that is. And Kenny Nice. Anyway, it's racist, Josh. Again, those days are over. No one cares. It's racist. Okay. Oh my goodness. Oh, I'm so racist. Oh no. I'm sorry. Here's my black friend. And Kenny is a town in Iowa by Des Moines. I don't know anything about it, man. But I did drive through. I remember, so my brother and I were going to my family reunion in Indiana, and we went to Madison, Wisconsin. I've never been. This is in 1996. And so we got to our hotel and went out to a couple bars, got drunk as a skunk, could not remember to save our lives what our hotel was. We're just walking around Madison, Wisconsin. It was like 3:00. I said, I had no clue what our hotel was. None. It was freaking scary. Yeah, Traverse City is pretty sweet, man. No chat on the other channel. Yeah, be on this channel, man. There's only there's 9 guys on the other channel. No, yeah, 1 guy on Facebook, 9. There's 18 on Twitter. That's crazy. But I don't see the Twitter. I'm not even sure if we have Twitter chats on here. Actually, what if I'm going to try it? Let's see here. Hold on. I'm going to try chatting on Twitter and see if it shows up. Anyway, so we couldn't remember. I was like, finally we made it back. I was like, it was scary. You always want to be on the Heritage Wealth Planning one, Joe. I mean, you can be on both, but the Heritage Wealth Planning one's a bigger channel. Let me see here real quick. Hang tight, amigos. Anyway, so then the next day we Fast Eddie. We how do you do this now? Profile. Oh, there it is. All right, anyway, so then the next day we Fast Eddie. Twitter. We X. Do this now. Profile. Hello. Oh, there it is. All right, so I did a comment on X. Let's see if it does show up. There it is on X. Hey, cool. X. Hey, look at that. Look at my X profile. I got, how many people I got following me on it? I got 1,021 followers on X. I just started, man. I've posted, how many things have I posted on X? Somewhere it tells you how many things you posted, but I don't know how many things I posted. I post a lot I love smack talking on X. It's fun. Yeah. I started in March of 2024. I don't think so. Yeah, just to repeat my quote. This is quote. I use no porter or cheese in my family, but such as is made in America. That's George Washington. We got Joe. Joe Mama's in the party. Look at Joe Mama. That's all right. Private equity, 100%. Private equity, 100%, man. Absolutely. It's just, no, you don't need to apologize. Yeah, Traverse City is really nice, man. Buy China, their future is bright while yours is bleak. Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think their future is bright. No way. Anyway, so we came down, headed to Wisconsin next week for a fishing trip. So we're coming down, and it was just rolling. It reminded me so much like the Shenandoah Valley. It's beautiful, rolling hills, farms, and whatnot. And then we got to Davenport, like right on the river. And I was in the Army with a guy from Davenport. That was a nice little town. And then we went to Des Moines, and Des Moines was cool. If you go 5 miles, if you go inland 5 miles from Traverse City, you come to a beautiful, unforgettable Gaylord, Michigan. Well, that sounds gay, but we did go to a place in Michigan right outside of Traverse City that had a big apple farm. That was freaking, I loved it, dude. I loved it out there. I could handle that. I thought Western Michigan was fantastic. It was just Maine, dude. It's like Maine. You know what I'm saying? 100%. I loved it. I was just like, man, this place is awesome. And I also loved a lot of outside of Seattle, not Seattle, but out of Washington State is freaking gorgeous too. I mean, it's not just gorgeous, but the people are righteous. I loved it. But Washington State is, it's like freaking Maine is dominated by this insane libs in Seattle. I remember Buckhead was a hot spot. Yeah, I had a bunch of friends move there, and then Buckhead ebbs and flows. So right now it's on the downturn, that's for sure. You do a winter there? I assume not. Nah, never done a winter. Nope, never. But look, I'm from Maine, both. I was in the Army in upstate New York. Holland, Michigan. Yeah, we went through that. Holland, Michigan was fantastic, dude. I just love the little small towns they have. These little small towns are like self-contained, like I said, homogenous, freaking high trust, homogenous towns. I love it. They got some stupid movie or show with the Australian chick, that tall chick. I don't know why everyone thinks she's so hot. What the hell's her name? I forgot, but some tall Australian chick. I can't remember her name. You know what I'm talking about. Anyway, she did a movie on Holland, Michigan. It was dumb. I'm just telling you, it's dumb. It's so stupid. What the hell's that chick's name? The big, tall Australian chick. Nicole Kidman. That's it right here. Any pro or con moving a TSP to Roth 401k versus Roth IRA? It'd just be more of a preference. Yeah, I mean, it's, you got to pay the tax. That's a con. The pro is you have a whole lot more access to it, and it's all tax free. So, yeah, but they did a movie in Holland, Michigan. It was dumb, dude. Anyway. So we were out there, and we were coming down, and then we went to Des Moines, and it's like during a Sunday. It's like 10 o'clock. We almost got a fight with some guy. I couldn't believe it. I was like, dude, what? It was weird. I thought Iowa. I can't remember what happened, but this guy, whereas my brother and I just looking for a place to get some breakfast. We're walking down downtown Des Moines, and some guys, like, maybe it was guys, I can't remember. I don't remember the exact specifics, but he's like yelling. I was like, what? It wasn't like a, homeless dude from freaking, Somalia either. I was like, it was weird. I was like, what the hell it was strange, man. I was like, this Des Moines, I'll never forget that. It's the weirdest. I can't remember what happened to save my life, but I just remember going through Des Moines like 10 o'clock on a Sunday morning, and this guy was like trying to start guff with us. I was like, this is strange. We didn't cut him off or anything like that. It was weird. Literally just walking downtown Des Moines, trying to find a place to get breakfast. It was crazy. Anyway, Iowa I like quite a bit. At least that part of it. I guess cold as hell and it's windy, but it's cheap. Cheaper than most places, that's for sure. Missouri I liked a lot. TSP Roth. Hey, look at Bruce Dexter. TSP Roth conversion coming next year in the TSP. That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Look, Bruce Dexter, what's those vehicles right there? Jeremy likes Jeeps. I can't tell if those are Jeeps now. They don't look like Jeeps. Maybe they're. Jeremy's a Jeep guy. He tore his apart and put it all back together or something like that. Jeremy, you still got that Jeep? He sent me some pictures of it, and I can't tell what you're driving there, Bruce Dexter. Let me guess, it's a Barbie car. It's a pink Barbie car. Anyway. All right, my friends, I guess I'll get out of here. But looked like yellow Jeep there. Jeep Cherokee. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, Jeremy, you're a big Jeep guy. When it was new retirement, I did a while back. And I didn't, it was Dubuque, Iowa. Yeah, that's what it's called. Maybe it was Dubuque. Was it Davenport? I got Davenport. Maybe it was Dubuque. Home of great bacon sandwiches. Yeah, Traverse City is pretty busy. But man, they have a freaking wonderful downtown. It's rich kid stuff though. I still have my 2004 Jeep Wrangler on 35-inch tires. Obviously, Jeremy has the big tires because he's making up for something down low, if you know what I'm saying. I don't really have an initial consultation fee. I just depends on what your net worth is. If your net worth is under $1 million, the fee is $1,250. If it's over $1 million, it's $2,500. And then, well, I guess you could call it initial consultation, I suppose. But then every year thereafter, for people who want, I charge a $500 annual review. So, like, I got a guy email me the other day. It's like, hey, I just want to, spend an hour of your time. And I just had some, questions. And I said, that's just not really how it works. When I do financial planning, I'm not going to at some point I might be, I need that kind of consultation where I'm saying, no, if you just want to have, like I did when I first started. I first started doing this, I said, hey man, I can't write charge. I said, just send me some, whatever you want to talk about, I'll charge it. But I cannot remember what it was, but I didn't like that because it's not full financial planning. And I just think a lot of people are ignorant about what full financial planning is. And as such, a lot of people just want to see if their portfolio is diversified well enough. Life insurance question here. That's like one-off stuff. And it's hard to, I don't want to get involved in answering those without having the big picture, frankly. And so I stopped doing that initial consultation for just like one-off questions and stuff, because it wasn't good. Because what happens is people don't know what financial planning is, because financial planners, they manage money for a living. And so if people think financial planning is investment derived, it's just not. Investments are part of it, but it's certainly not the primary thing of financial planning. And so people think financial planning is investment management. And so they say, well, I don't need investment management. I believe in Vanguard. And they think financial planning is all that. But it's just not what financial planning is. It drives you up the wall. And our business has done to ourselves. Woo! Oh, you want to come here and say hi, puppy? I will need insurance coverage for about 6 months after COBRA expires. What do you think about using HELOC to supplement my IRA to keep premiums low? Yeah, 100%, dude. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, come here. Come say hi to everybody. Come here, baby. Everyone wants to make sure you're okay. Come on. We're going to sit with Finn, then we're going to call it. Oh, come here. He just tooted. Come here. Woo! You stink, buddy. You stink. Oh, there he is. Oh, there he is. Hey. Oh, no, I was going to lick his butt. Okay. Pablo went. My wife went to go pick up Charlotte. Charlotte went to go pick up the girls at some show in Atlanta. And so she took Pablo. Oh, there he is. Finny! Give me a kiss. Kisses right here. We thought Finney was not long for the world not too long ago. It was sad, man. Come on. All right. Come here, baby. Uppy. My work made me sit through a session with a financial planner for Edward Jones, but she just want to steal from everyone. Yikes. Man, he'll be stealing from people. All right. He's got to go outside and let him out. God bless, guys. See you next week. Thanks again for being here. He is a sweetheart, Finn Furs. Fern Fins. And you're all right, too. You're all right, Fern. I don't care what I say about you. You got a soft spot in my heart. Falcons smoking the Vikings. Yep. All right. Let's go. See you guys. God bless.